Hello friends, in this video we are just going to see how to calculate power. How can we calculate power, square root and cube root in Excel? Here I just want to show you different methods that we just have to use or that we can use to calculate power, square root and cube root in Excel. Let me suppose I have different numbers, and let me start with square root. Square root. Here I have square root. There is different ways that we just have to can just calculate square root. Let me suppose I have 1, have 2, have 3, I have 6, I have 4, I have 6, I have different numbers, 125 and 49. We can have 81. And just have different numbers, and there was sometimes it comes that we just want to know the square root and you don't have a calculator. Let me increase the size of this to 14 and make it times near Roman. To make it more clear. And right now we see we have numbers, and it comes that we just have one to calculate the square root. The square root of any number without just using calculator, and you are on Excel sheet, and how to calculate the square root. To calculate square root, can just use different methods. And the first method is that I use square root function, that is equal sign SQRT. This is a function that's calculate a square root. And I open parentheses. Here you see we are only required to put a number, and I just click here and I close my parentheses and I hit enter. The square root of 1 is 1, and I can scroll down to see other square roots here. You can see here it is a 1.4, here it is a 3, and here it is to the square root of 4. And here we use the function sqrt. You can see it. This function can help us to calculate the square root of any number. And but this sqrt function cannot help us to calculate the cubic root. It's only for square root. Another way is that we can just use power function. Another method of calculating square root is to use power function. As you know, in mathematics, once you are just given you are just given any number and you are asked to calculate a square root. And in mathematics, you can just, if you have maybe 125 and you ask it to calculate a square root of 125, it's equal. It's the same as you can write 125 to the power of 1 over 2. 1 over 2 means a square root, and 1 over 2 is a power. That's why here typed of power function. And even if it's a square root that you are calculating, but we have powered 1/2 to 125. Now let me try this. Let me type equal sign power. I can just type power, and within power here there is number. We just hit on number, and apart from number, we are just asked the power. Which power do we want to raise this number on? Let me type 1/2, and then I close the parentheses. I hit enter. You see here I have 1, and let me scroll down to copy the formula, and you see that I have the same. You see, you can just calculate the square root in this way by using SQLT function, or you can just use power function by powering 1/2. But the importance of using this power function is that you can just use this to calculate any root. You can use this to calculate any root. Yeah, suppose we just want to calculate a cubic root. If you just want to calculate cube root, how can we just do it? We use power. Cube root is 1/2. If you have just 125 and you just want you have a cube root of this number of 125, there is a simple way to do it. Using calculator, you can just calculate the cube root, but you can also write you can just write 125 or power 1/3. Any root can be calculated using a power function. Here type equal sign, I type power, and here you see I have number. I just have to identify the number. This is where is the number. It might be the cell. We better choose the cell. And here there is power, and where we have power, this is where we are just going to put any root that we want. If it is the fourth root, we can just type the number and comma, then 1/4, 1/5, 1/6, depending on the root that we want. In mathematics, you remember this. And here I click the number. The number is this one, and which is the power. This is 1/3. This one stands for cube root. I hit enter, and I just go down this way, and I find this result. This is a cube root of these numbers, and here you can see that we can just calculate any root using the power function. Power function is very important. And how to put this to any power without just instead of calculating the root, you can even use calculate the power. You can just say raising to the power. I can just say equal sign power. I open parenthesis and I just click to the number, and I just want to put every number here to the power of 2. Just want to put this number to the power of 2 square. I can hit enter, and I can just scroll down. I just want to make them square. You can see here all number here I'll put to the power of 2, and simply I can just put it to here. Let me just put any number here. I can just put the number to here, and I use it as a reference. Once I use it as a reference, I clean this, and I just click here, and I click to F4 to lock the formula. F4 to lock the formula, or you can just use the dollar sign. I can just show you here. Let me zoom it. you can just use $sign to lock this reference. Once you just have a reference, it's better that you lock it with the $sign so that it cannot change it once you're just occupying the formula. Make sure that you locked the formula. And here I hit enter. I still have one, and here scroll down to get the same result. And once I change here this number maybe to 3, you can see here that it changes. So once I change it to 4, I made this number to all those numbers to the power of 4. It means that you can just make just power any number to these numbers. Once I just put 1/2, 1/2, 1/2, you see here it is taking this as a date. You can see it means here once you just want to power this, better you want it in a formula. You can see it here, and let me go back here. Let me undo this, and once I just want to use a load, you have seen how to do it. You make this one in the formula and scroll down the formula. Once you just put this slash, the Excel is going to think that we're just typing the date. And here now have power, and there is another way to use power. Another way to use power is to use the power sign on the keyboard. To use power sign on the keyboard. How to use the power sign on the keyboard? On your keyboard, you just see the sign that is on 6 key. Here you just click here equal sign, type equal sign, you select the number, and you go to your keyboard you hold the shift and the 6, and you have this power sign, and here you put 4. Let me put 4 for example, and here I have 1. And once I scroll down to copy the formula, you can see I have the numbers. You can see I have the same numbers, and I can just move this one to get to fit the numbers. And here guys, you see that you can just find any power you just want using Microsoft Excel. And here you use square root function, power, and here you can also find cube root using power function. Guys, I hope you enjoy the video, and this is how we can just use power, square root, cube root in Microsoft Excel. And I hope you're just going to start using these functions in Microsoft Excel. Once you don't have a calculator, don't be bored and I think that you cannot just do any calculations like this one. Guys, see you next time. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button to see more videos like this one in the future.